Hi, welcome to our Fiduciary Hot Topics, the first one for 2025. The topics are so hot, I have my oven mitt to help. Well, let's get into our topics. We start the new year off with some IRA and plan limit increases. The IRS released IRS Notice 2024-80 to give us the cost of living adjustments for key retirement plan and IRA dollar limits. Of particular note, we see the addition of the age 60 to 63 catch-up contribution limit. That is new under Secure Act 2.0, and 2025 is the first year that we will have that in place. I also want to draw attention to the increases and new application for the simple IRA contribution limits as well as catch-up contribution limits. Under Secure 2.0, we have new limits that apply for simple IRA plans with 25 or fewer employees, and also for those with 26 to 100 employees if they provide employer contributions. Moving on to our IRA limits, we see there are some increases, in particularly related to the modified adjusted gross income limits that affect deductibility of traditional IRA contributions, as well as eligibility to contribute to a Roth IRA. Moving on to our next item, IRS Notice 2024-63 gives us some much needed guidance on student loan matching contributions. Again, that is a new provision under Secure Act 2.0. Plans such as 401k plans, 403bs, and governmental 457bs can actually provide for student loan matching contributions. And Notice 2024-63 gives us some guidance as to how to implement those types of payments. Now, the notice is effective for 2025 and for later years. We do expect to receive further guidance and maybe even a model amendment to incorporate that provision into plans. Our next news item is a quick reminder that the cybersecurity guidance that the Department of Labor issued back in 2021 not only applies for qualified retirement plans, such as defined benefit and defined contribution plans, but also for health and welfare plans. So refer to Compliance Assistance Release Notice 2024-01 for additional guidance on health and welfare plans as they relate to the cybersecurity guidance. Recall that initially in 2021, the DOL issued 3 bulletins that provide some best practices, and we also have the guidance applying now to health and welfare plans in addition to defined contribution and defined benefit plans. Happy anniversary to ERISA. It was Labor Day of 1974 when then President Gerald Ford signed the Employee Retirement Income Security Act into law in 1974, effective for 1975. And so in honor of the 50th anniversary, the Department of Labor has a new webpage that highlights the many accomplishments of the department under ERISA as it protects health, retirement, and other benefits of U.S. workers. So happy anniversary, ERISA. It seems every day we are hearing more about some type of natural disaster with devastating effects. And I wanted to draw attention to the IRS's website that they have available where they post notices for relief if a plan sponsor is affected by one of these natural disasters. The website is found under tax relief in disaster situations. And oftentimes, the IRS will grant additional time to make payments or file specific tax returns or file specific reports, such as Form 5500, if the plan sponsor is in an area that's affected by one of these disasters. Pay particular attention to the Tax Relief in Disaster Situations website if a plan sponsor finds themselves in one of these disaster areas. Moving along, we now have some guidance for ERISA 403B plans as it relates to long-term part-time employee rules. IRS Notice 2024-73 gives ERISA 403B plan sponsors guidance as to how to implement and apply the long-term part-time employee rules for eligibility. Now, keep in mind that an ERISA 403B plan is one that either provides employer contributions or in some other way is controlled by the employer. That makes it an ERISA plan, and therefore they are required to follow the long-term part-time employee rules. Non-ERISA 403B plans are exempt from those rules, as well as governmental plans and non-electing church plans. But turn to Notice 2024-73 if you are an ERISA 403B plan sponsor and learn how to implement those long-term part-time employee rules properly. For those plan sponsors and their advisors who are looking for some unique plan design options, we have a new private letter ruling, or PLR, and it's PLR 2024-34006, wherein the IRS allowed a plan sponsor to offer employees the ability to choose where to have their employer contribution deposited. The employee could choose to deposit the employer contribution to a 403B plan, a health reimbursement account, a health savings account, or an educational assistance program. Now, I want to remind everyone that a PLR is only reliable or can be relied upon by the taxpayer that requested the PLR. But PLRs do give us insight into what the IRS is thinking. And in this case, the IRS found no fault in this type of plan design. So if this is something that a plan sponsor is interested in, it's best to talk about this design option with their plan providers and other advisors to the plan. Moving along now, we have IRS Notice 2024-77 that gives us additional guidance on plan overpayments as they relate to the new provision in Secure Act 2.0. Now, what is a plan overpayment? It really is as simple as an amount that is paid to a participant that exceeds the amount that they should have received, either from a defined contribution plan or from a defined benefit plan. Now, in the past, overpayments generally were recouped, or the plan provider, the administrator that distributed the excess amount would generally try to recoup that payment from the participant. Now, under Secure 2.0, that is no longer a requirement. There's the option to not recoup the payment. And if that is the case, then the plan sponsor needs to follow these provisions that are outlined in the notice. If a plan chooses not to recoup the payment, that payment actually becomes then a rollover contribution for the individual. So in summary, it's very important for plan sponsors, if they choose not to recoup these overpayments, that they look at the procedures that they have in place and also any document language that addresses benefit overpayments to make sure they're operating their plan in compliance with the guidance. Let's talk now about some lawsuits related to the use of forfeitures in plans. In the past several months, there have been several cases brought forth on how plan sponsors are using plan forfeitures. And what the cases revolve around is whether the plan sponsor has discretion to use forfeitures in a particular manner. And if the plan sponsor does have discretion, is it a violation of their fiduciary responsibility to use those forfeitures to pay down employer contribution amounts rather than providing the amount to pay for plan expenses on behalf of the participant. So what it boils down to on these forfeiture cases, if the plan sponsor has some kind of discretion, it can be, cases are being brought against them if they don't use the contribution to reduce plan expenses or use the forfeitures to reduce plan expenses. The bottom line is for plan sponsors to review what their plan documents say regarding the use of forfeitures and take away any discretion that the plan sponsor might have so that the plan document is very clear on the order and how those forfeitures are going to be used for plan purposes. We're coming down into a brand new year. We'll be having a lot of legislative updates to look forward to. In particular, we know that a lot of the tax cuts that were given to us in 2027 are set to expire by 2026. And so if if the new administration decides they want to continue some or all of these tax cuts, they're going to need to find some revenue to pay for that. And oftentimes, Congress will look to the qualified retirement system to find ways to offset costs. So we can anticipate maybe some further Rothification of 401k contributions, capping of total account balances for retirement plan savings, and maybe discontinuing of the backdoor Roth IRA conversion. Now, these are all potentials. There's nothing proposed at this point, but some things that might need to be readdressed when we address the potential for the tax cuts expiring. So we have a whole new administration coming in. We have a new president coming on board here in a couple of days. We anticipate a lot of activity in the very near future, and we will for sure cover those in our next edition of Fiduciary Hot Topics. Thank you for joining.